We all avoided dialysis in 15 minutes. We all supplemented this.
In this video, what if I told you that over 100,000 CKD patients could completely avoid dialysis in just 15 minutes? Catherine here, I'm a doctor of natural medicine, and today I am going to share the 4 diet rules that made this impossible sounding recovery a reality. Because, let's be honest, researching the renal diet leaves most patients completely paralyzed by confusion. Coffee was a kidney saver yesterday, but today it causes high blood pressure and it will probably start a war in the Middle East tomorrow. And do you remember when eggs were toxic for your cholesterol? But now they are a miracle superfood? And please, don't even get me started on potatoes. And here's the thing, when you don't know what to eat, you accidentally damage your precious filters at every single meal. But what if the confusion ended right now? In a groundbreaking study, more than 100 patients were sat down and thought exactly what really matters on their plates. After just 15 minutes of cutting through the noise, the results were absolutely shocking. Look at this. These patients watched their kidney function go up instead of down for the first time in their lives. And I mean, 15 minutes of dietary counseling to reverse a chronic disease? It sounds like a fairy tale, right? But it literally happened. It was documented in the British Journal of Nutrition and published by the prestigious Cambridge University Press. So, if you want to see your kidney function go up at your next lab test, do not miss a second of this video. Let's cut the garbage and reveal those 4 rules now. Starting with rule number 4, bananas are not the enemy. If I only had 15 minutes to save your kidneys, the very first thing I will do is shatter the potassium myth. Why? Because science is crystal clear. The more plants you eat, the longer your kidneys are going to last. But here is the trap. If you are forced to avoid 2/3 of the produce aisle because you are terrified of potassium, what on earth are you going to eat? Apple puree for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Yeah. Let me know how long you are going to last on that diet. Because here's the thing, a varied plant-based diet is so critical for your kidneys that modern medicine is experiencing a massive paradigm shift. Doctors are now realizing it is actually better to give patients potassium binders just so they can keep eating a plant-rich diet. And this is what science says, not just my opinion. And at this point, you might ask, but Catherine, my serum potassium is already too high. How do I add these foods back safely? Well, that's what the garlic recipe is for. Take a screenshot of this right now because this is your get out of potassium jail free card. But how does it work? Does garlic magically soak up potassium in your gut? Nope. That is what your Lokelma is for. And yes, if your potassium is dangerously high, get a prescription as soon as possible. The way garlic saves you is completely different. Garlic is a biological wrecking ball against high blood pressure. A massive meta-analysis proves a low dose of garlic can drop your blood pressure just as effectively as standard medications. That is why I am recommending this exact garlic recipe more and more. Because if you prepare it as shown in my recipe, it will slash your need for antihypertensive medications. And here is the mind-blowing secret your doctor probably didn't mention. If you have high potassium levels, your blood pressure meds are likely to blame, not the bananas. Your lisinopril, your Zestril, your Vasitec. Science proves these drugs are the real reason your serum potassium is spiking. So, here is the battle plan. Slowly introduce garlic prepared as shown in your daily regimen. See your blood pressure get lower and have your doctor reduce your lisinopril. Watch your potassium go back to normal and start enjoying healthy food again. This is how garlic saves the day. And by the way, if you can tolerate this garlic on an empty stomach, it is going to work miracles for your gut health too. And that brings us directly to rule number 3. Your gut is your new kidney. Okay guys, let's face brutal facts. your kidneys are failing. They are no longer taking out the trash. Instead, they are letting toxic uremic waste ravage your delicate cells like a ruthless horde of Huns invading a defenseless city. This is a massive crisis that requires some serious out-of-the-box thinking, or rather, out of the kidneys thinking. If your kidneys are overwhelmed, it is time to force your other organs to pick up the slack. Which organ, you ask? Your gut. Did you know your gut can completely change the amount of toxic uremic waste your kidneys have to filter? Yeah, that's why we don't want to limit bananas and spinach and avocados in your diet anymore, because those foods have fiber, and fiber nourishes the good bacteria in your gut. Remember that those bacteria are your main defense against uremic toxins, the horde of Huns attacking your kidneys. And yeah, everyone knows that having a healthy gut is important. What most people don't realize is the magnitude of the change a healthy gut can make. So here's the thing. In the study you see on screen right now, not just one patient was able to stop dialysis, but 9, all thanks to fiber. And that's not all. In this study, the researchers were able to keep off dialysis 3 patients for 2 years and 1 patient for 8 years. But how many bananas a day would you need for that? Well, they didn't use bananas. They used a renal fiber supplement. And you can try it too. It's my renal fiber. Taking high doses of this supplement every day, patients under medical supervision were able to avoid dialysis completely. So if you are not taking renal fiber yet, you are literally leaving your city gates wide open. The way renal fiber protects your kidneys is brilliant. It acts as the ultimate high-grade food supply for the good bacteria in your gut. When you feed those bacteria renal fiber, they multiply, they grow stronger. And what do they eat? They eat the uremic toxins. They literally devour the horde of Huns in your intestines before those toxins can ever cross into your bloodstream to attack your fragile kidneys. That is exactly why the researchers in this groundbreaking study gave it a very specific name, intestinal dialysis technology. It does the exact same job as the Big D machine, physically removing deadly kidney waste from your body, except it does it naturally. No needles, no blood, no crippling exhaustion. Now, a quick serious warning. The massive extreme doses used in the specific study to completely replace a dialysis machine require strict medical supervision. Do not try to self-administer a clinical dialysis protocol at home. But in moderate to high daily doses, renal fiber is incredibly safe and highly effective for patients in every single stage of CKD. Here is the secret. The effect is dose dependent. The more you take, the more toxins your gut army destroys. In my clinical experience, working your way up to 6 tablespoons a day is the absolute sweet spot where you get the maximum kidney saving benefits. But what if you want to make that 6 tablespoons dose even more powerful without having to swallow more fiber? Here is my advice. If your renal fiber supply is running low and you need to restock, you must add a bottle of Renabiotic to your cart when you visit renabiotech.co. Think about it logically. Renal fiber is the food and supplies you are dropping into the battlefield, but you still need the actual soldiers to fight the Huns. That is exactly what those patients did to avoid dialysis. They forced the bacteria in their gut to take out the trash. So why wouldn't you actively drop a fresh targeted army of healthy bacteria straight into the war zone? You supply the troops with Renabiotic and you feed them with Rena fiber. Together, they form an unstoppable biological shield against kidney toxins. Okay, let's see the next rule the patients who improved are following. Rule number 2 is, of course, and to the surprise of no one, all about limiting protein. But here's what not a lot of people know about protein intake. Just like for potassium, we don't just arbitrarily limit protein intake for each and every patient in the same way. Your protein need largely depends on your proteinuria and on your CKD stage. Basically, the more advanced CKD, the more you need to limit protein intake. Now guys, today I won't just say that you need to reduce protein. I will actually show you how to do it. Let's take a look at my infographic. This is based on a very interesting case report recently published on the Clinical Kidney Journal. A single patient with a genetic form of kidney disease was followed by a team of doctors and dietitians for 33 years. And we really can learn a lot from this paper. Here's how things went. When the patient was 20 years old, his GFR was 54. With a GFR of 54, cutting protein too drastically doesn't really make a difference. So, he was recommended portion control and a diet mostly plant-based. When his GFR was 54, his protein intake wasn't super low, alright? It was about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. But what does that mean, you ask? How much protein are we talking about? Was he eating steak? Well, not really. You see, if we take a look at what most Americans who eat steak and, normal meals are eating, we will find out that most people are eating between 1.2 and 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So, to get to an amount of protein that's safe for a patient with a GFR just below 60, you will need to cut most, if not all, animal protein from your diet. Now, when his GFR went down to 45, his protein intake was restricted even further. It went down to 0.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. We are talking full plant-based here. No steak, of course. Not even a tiny bit of chicken. Actually, if your GFR is below 45 or if you have heavy proteinuria, you will need to limit plant-based protein sources as well. No legumes, very little nuts, and seeds. If you don't do that, your kidneys are going to suffer. The last step was done when his GFR went down to 24. Here, he was put on a very low protein diet and he was started on keto analog supplementation. His protein intake was cut in half to just 0.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. To do that, avoiding animal-based foods and plant-based protein is not enough. You also need to replace your grains, pasta, rice, bread, with low appetite alternatives. And now you might ask, but if he followed the diet, shouldn't he have improved instead of losing kidney function over the years? Well, he would have if the cause for CKD was diabetes or high blood pressure. Unfortunately, his condition is genetic and there is no stopping kidney disease progression if you can't stop what's causing the damage, like a genetic condition. And don't get me wrong, this patient was probably able to delay dialysis by 10 years or more by following this diet. Now guys, something else that's causing kidney damage right now in a lot of patients is our next entry. Let's see the number one rule, the most important one. This is probably the biggest change in the renal diet that's happened in the last 2 or 3 years. So please pay attention because it could take a decade before your doctors catch up. Okay guys, let me ask you a question. What would you consider the number one most important nutrient to avoid when on a renal diet? What's the thing that more than anything else causes kidney damage in your diet? Well, most of the people following me here on Double O Kidney regularly would say protein. And that's not wrong, of course. As we have seen, if you are in the advanced stages, cutting protein as much as physically possible and then some more could be the only thing between you and the machine. But for patients in the early stages, a different element in your diet is even more kidney toxic than protein. Can you guess which one is it? Remember that the correct answer to this question could literally save your kidneys. I'm talking about sodium. Let me know if you guess it correctly. So, here's the thing. Always focus on limiting sodium. That should be your number one priority, especially, but not just if you are in the early stages. Science is very clear on this. Sodium will damage your kidneys, and not just because it causes high blood pressure. Sodium is directly nephrotoxic for the kidneys. It doesn't just damage the kidneys by making your blood pressure skyrocket. It will also directly cause oxidative stress, aka kidney damage. I mean, it's a double whammy. Eating sodium is like finding out your flight is delayed and your luggage is lost at the same time, and without even having to fly Spirit Airlines. Now, what not many people know about sodium is that we get most of it from processed, packaged, and restaurant foods. Be very careful, double check the label of everything that comes out of a package. And if you want more kidney saving tips, my video up here is for you, and this is all for today. Thank you for watching. God bless you all. Bye!